So we're gonna go over leads at first base really quick. We've got 3 cones out with our base. The orange cone would represent that 12-foot marker, the blue would represent the 15, and then that red represents the 18. The further out we go, you're looking at those guys that are able to pick up on the pitcher's move really quick, but obviously the faster guys are able to get those bigger leads to put themselves in a position to be able to take that extra bag. The further out we go, the guys that aren't able to get back quick enough, right, they need to have that knowledge in mind that we're picking one way, right? So those are your really fast runners that say, hey, if I get picked off and I'm taking that extra risk, I'm picking one way, I'm going towards second base. So when we're at first base, we're gonna have our toes facing second base. We're gonna have our eyes on the pitcher at all times so we know where the ball is at. We're gonna wait for him to get on the mound, on the rubber, toe the rubber, and then we're gonna take our couple steps, a crossover, and then a couple shuffles. So for me, I personally, doesn't bother me if they go right or left first. That's just the way I teach it. I think it's just whatever's comfortable, whatever's most natural for that first step. I typically go right foot, left foot, a little swing, 1 step, 2 step, with a small half step, and that's typically my lead. And then we'll have our right foot, a little drop back. So I like to think about lining my toe up with the ball of my left foot. I'm gonna point my toe towards the third baseman, so I've opened up my hips. So that first move, it doesn't necessarily need to be a go get 'em step with that lead leg. It can just be a crossover with that left leg. I'm gonna be down in a nice athletic position, hinged at my hip. My hands are just nice and relaxed. Just trying to find a position where guys can be athletic and get to that sprint position as quickly as possible. Some guys like to just be one arm hanging. Again, I think, in my opinion, it's all about just trying to find what position is the most athletic and optimal for that guy to be able to get into that sprint position as quickly as possible. So whether you're at practice and you're playing around with different starting positions and timing them and giving them feedback on, hey, this works better or that works better, find what fits the individual. So once we're in the starting position, right, and there's no steal on, I see the pitcher lift his leg. If it's a righty, I'm trying to see full daylight underneath that left leg, so we don't get into a position where we get into a heel pick move where the pitcher will lift his heel and pick off the first base. We also don't want to be looking at his back leg, because if we notice that we can see at our peripherals of our eyes, if that back leg moves, then he's picking off. If we are trying to steal, we're looking for that left leg to get fully elevated so we can see daylight underneath it and be able to break. If it's a guy that isn't going to steal a lot of bases for you, then and he's a little slower back to the bag, we might just say, hey, let's just look at the back leg, ensure we don't get picked off here. So we'll get our secondary. So secondary would be like, hey, there's no steal on. We're just trying to wait for our guy at the box to move you to that next spot, or we get a pass ball, or whatever it is that may advance you to that next bag. So athletic position, and then all the secondary is shuffle out to that 18, 19, 20-foot marker, whatever that nice secondary is, shuffle out there. In that shuffle, it really gives you that advantage to be able to see the trajectory of the pitch, the plane of the pitch, to help you determine like what the pitch type is and what the location is, so we can determine if it's a dirt ball, we can, if we can pick it up early, we might be able to take that extra bag and give that advantage to those little slower runners, where the faster runners can say, hey, I can wait that extra second longer to be able to determine and give myself a higher probability that's going to be in the dirt and be able to take that extra bag, right? So again, in our leads here at first base, we're going 1, 2 step, swing, 1, 2 with a little half, and then getting into a nice athletic position, drop that right foot back, open the toe up, athletic position. And then whether we're going into a secondary where it's a shuffle, or if we're going into a steal with a crossover, all we're doing is just getting out to that 12, 15 foot marker based on what you advise your kids to do to be able to get that extra bag early on. Okay, so now say we get a pick off. We're out at that 12 foot marker. Now we need to make that move back to the bag. So we get our lead, eyes on the pitcher. We see the move, whether it's for a righty, the back leg drops behind the mound, or it drops in front and the left leg kicks back. The first move is going to be right foot crosses over, step, and then a dive, landing on our chest first, and then getting ourselves dirty with our hands first. When we return back to the bag, we're going to return back to the back side of the bag, so it makes it a little bit further of a link for that first baseman to have to reach for you. When we return back to the bag after our secondary, so there's no steal on, no ball put in play, say it's just a ball or strike that went by the hitter. The move that we're going to make is we get our secondary, and then it's just I see it back in the catcher's glove. I return back to the back of the bag with a nice little quick jog. So with our right-handed pitcher, we already covered the pickoff move is either going to be that right foot's going to go behind the rubber and throw, or we're going to have a quick move where it's my right foot's going to go and towards the third base bag, and the left foot's going to drop towards first base and pick there. So our right-handed pitchers, we can get a little bit extra on our lead. Now with a lefty with a good move, we might want to have a little shorter of a lead to give our guys an advantage to not get picked off here, especially later in the game. With the lefty, they've got a couple different moves. They can go behind the rubber and pick off from here with their left foot, or they can leg lift and go to a 45 and pick from there. The way that we'll have our guys in a normal lead read the left-handed pitcher is we're going to have our first base coach in our runner's ear saying what that move is. They've been watching the game from the bench, hopefully, to be able to make those reads and tendencies for that left-handed pitcher, and they can get a good idea of what that move is going to look like more often than not, so that when they get on first base, they know what to be looking for. So, but when they get to their lead, maybe they've cut that half shuffle out of their initial lead, so it's just a couple steps with the two shuffles. I'm in my lead, and then if we're not going on any steal, there's no steal on or anything. All we're doing is we're either doing, it might be a hit and run, or we're just letting for our guy put the ball in play, and we're just getting a normal secondary. We're reading the feet, or excuse me. We're going to read for the left-handed pitcher's back shoulder, so his left shoulder is what we're going to read here, because all we want to be able to determine is if he's going to push back and turn his right shoulder towards me, he's probably going to, more often than not, pick over to first base. If he leaves his torso square to you, then he's going to the plate more often than not. So the way we want to have our runners take our secondary from here is we're going to see leg lift, and we're going to go one-way lead. So we're going to step back towards first, push, so that way if he ends up coming over here, then all it is drive off that right foot and back into first base. One way, kick back, and dive. Say he goes to the plate here, one way, secondary, and then return back.